Hi, everyone. I'm delighted to be here for IATEFL BSIC with the chance to interview Evan Frendo, who is not only a longtime BSIC member and a former coordinator, but comes from Malta, where our 37th annual conference is going to take place. We're going to ask some questions about Malta, and starting off with, what is special about Malta?
Hi, Marjorie. Let's see what's special about. Well, it's a small island in the middle of the Mediterranean, with I don't know 7,000 years of history. It's got some of the oldest buildings in the world, standing buildings. It's got various protected sites. There's a lot of history to see. There's a lot packed into a very small space. So I grew up in Malta, as you said, and I always thought it was big while I lived there. And I moved to Europe and then to various other countries in the world and discovered just how small it is. But actually, it's packed with lots of things to do and see, certainly for a few days.
Yes, I agree. This will be my fourth trip, I believe. Okay. What about food? Anything special that people should try? And do you have favorites you miss when you were in Germany?
Well, I mean, Malta's a small island, so there's a lot of seafood. But the difference between eating seafood in Malta and eating it elsewhere is it tends to be fresh. It tends to be caught that day. A tip my father also always used to say is when you go into a fish restaurant, don't look at the menu, ask what is being caught that day, because that will be the freshest food. So I think seafood is certainly a big thing in Malta, but it's an international tourist place. So there's every form of food you could possibly want. Lots of nice things to have in Malta. One of the things which tourists tend to like is cheesecakes, which are a special sort of little pastry, very cheap, filled with ricotta or with peas. Sometimes you can find them with other things too. And I strongly recommend that you try one of these when you're there. It's fast food and it's absolutely delicious.
Oh, wonderful. It sounds similar to the teropitas in Greece,
Every
that
country.
type of thing. Oh, but it sounds wonderful. We'll definitely have to try that. Could you tell us a little bit about the languages used in Malta? I think this is a
Well,
really interesting point.
there's two official languages, Maltese and English, and that's due to historical reasons. Maltese is um, comes originally from Arabic, and so the Maltese people will understand many people from North Africa and vice versa. But then the British, of course, controlled Malta for a couple hundred years, and so therefore English became the official language. And now, according to the law, two languages spoken. Everybody watches Italian TV, so most Maltese will speak Italian or certainly understand it. And then there'll be lots of people because of the tourist industry who will speak German or French or Spanish or any of the other big languages. But Maltese and English you'll be able to get by. And because English is a standard language in Malta, Malta has over the last couple of decades become one of the main ELT destinations, certainly in Europe. When you're there, you will see students from all over the world. There's people from Brazil, people from China, all over the world. And every other building seems to be a language school of some sort. It's a big industry in Malta because of
I can
the
imagine.
spoken.
Well, I heard that Maltese actually is the only Semitic language written in, do we say Arabic letters? I mean,
But
the
it's written
letters
in
we
romantic
use,
letters. Yeah, it's written in the letters which you and I would
or
recognize.
yeah, the
There's
letters
one
we
or two
use.
letters which are different. There are two G's, one with a dot on the top and one without a dot. And there's an H with a line through it and an H without a line through it.
Uh,
But yes, it's the same alphabet which anybody coming from Europe or a European language would recognize. Yeah,
Interesting.
but maybe not able to
Okay.
pronounce.
Okay. Do you have any tips for getting around, and what sites
Yeah,
would you recommend that people see?
I think it's fairly easy to get around, but there's a lot of traffic. Maybe November shouldn't be too bad. When you arrive at the airport, I suggest you just go downstairs. It's a very fast, very efficient airport. It keeps winning prizes. And when you go out of where you pick up your bags, there's a taxi stand, and you queue up there. It doesn't take long. You order your taxi for where you're going. You pay there, so you're not going to be scammed by any taxi driver. Um, and that will take you straight to the wherever you're staying. I assume a lot of people will be staying at the event location. I get around with things like eCab or Uber or any of these things. Buses are good, but they tend to be a little bit temperamental, shall we say? So they might not be as reliable. And if you, as you'd like them to be, and if you want to, really make good use of your time, just find a couple of other participants, hop in an eCab or hop in a Bolt or hop in an Uber and go and visit Valletta or wherever. If you're there for a couple of days, I mean, it really depends how much time you've got. From the venue itself, there are things to see within 10-15 minutes walk. This photo is about 10, the one behind me was taken about 15 minutes walk from the venue. So you can get to see the sea. You're never more than, I think, 4.5 miles away from the sea in Malta. So it's difficult to see the sea. In the background is the skyline of Valletta. And if you only have one chance to do some sightseeing, then I would strongly recommend hopping in an eCab and going out to Valletta, because it's easy to explore, lots of things to see and do, full of restaurants, and easy to get around. If you've got a bit more time, maybe go and see Indina, which is the old city in the heart of Malta, but again, you'll need transport to get there. And if you're there for 2 or 3 extra days, then go and see Dingley Cliffs, for example, which is the south side of the island, and it's fantastic climbing, fantastic massive cliffs to look at. Very few people around. You can go down to a place called Marsa Schlock, which is an old fishing village. It's not so old anymore. Lots of tourists there, but certainly a fishing village. You'll see the local boats, and every other restaurant seems to be a fish restaurant where you can get lovely seafood. So it's a great evening, a place to spend an evening if you're there for an extra evening. I could go on, but yeah, you
Sure.
very long. So it's only a few hours to catch a ferry to Sicily as well. So you can pop up to Sicily.
Well, for opera lovers, I've heard you have to go to Gozo, the neighboring island, which
Well,
is
yes, of
where
course.
they actually have, I think, 2 opera houses right on the main street.
Yes, no, Gozo is definitely, if you've got a couple of extra days, Gozo is definitely worth a day trip, and you can catch a ferry from Valletta well, you can look it up. I strongly recommend the website called visitmalta.com, which is packed with really useful information. Maps, which you can download, all the sites, all the various places you'd like to see, and information about them. So have a look at that, definitely.
And
you can also write me an email if you want. So the website really.
okay. I remember that there are 2 lines of a hop on, hop off bus, which I used, which was great because it got me around the island and I had a full day, and that
Yes.
worked wonderfully.
Yes. There's lots of, I mean, it is really a tourist destination. So if you look at websites like the tourist website I just mentioned, you will find a wealth of information, what to do and see. And yeah, there's tons to do if you're there for a couple of days, for sure.
Okay. Just one final question. Do you miss Malta when you're not there?
Well, yes, I mean, I miss the weather, although summers have become quite hot in the last few years. So I'm glad I'm not necessarily in Malta in summer, but I go most years, 4 times a year, maybe since I left Malta. So for the last few decades, 4 decades, I think I left when I was 15. So quite a long time ago, but I've got strong links, lots of friends. I went to school there. Little bit of family left, not much, but plenty of reasons to draw me back. Summer is hot. November is a really good time to come, because November, the weather should be reasonable. It might be raining, so bring a raincoat. But you'll certainly be better off than in, say, northern Europe, which will be cold and wet in November. So
Definitely. Yeah, we were there in November and we had a little bit of rain and then it cleared up and we went out doing
yes,
tourist things. It was
yes,
wonderful.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it was great. Well, thank you, Evan. Anything else you want to say to our potential
Well, I'm
participants?
happy if anybody who's going and is not sure, just give me a call or get in touch by email. You can find my email address on my website, and just Google it, and I'd be happy to chat or answer any questions.
Yeah. And it really is an experience. It is a really, for me, it's a very special place. I can
And if you
imagine
like
what it is for
history and
you.
you like things, the Romans were there, the Knights of St. John were there, and they built this fantastic city called Valletta. The British were there. It's got a lot of concentrated history. So there's plenty to see and do in the time. If you're looking for beaches and things, November probably isn't the best time to to go swimming. Most people won't be swimming, although there'll be one or two hardy people. And I think the venue has a swimming pool,
Has
doesn't it?
two outdoor swimming pools and a spa with a small indoor pool.
But will it
Yes.
be open? Will it be open in
It
November?
was open when we were there in November,
Right. Okay.
and I
Great.
think some people were getting ready to go in, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So bring your swimming pools.
yes. Well, for the spa at least, if anyone's interested, yes. Well, thank you, Evan. This makes me even more eager to be there. So very much
Oh, I'm
looking
very
forward to it.
really happy when you mentioned it was going to be in Malta. I'm always happy to go to Malta, and this is a good excuse. And
Exactly.
yeah, you'll enjoy it. I guarantee it.
Yes, everyone there, I'm sure, will really enjoy it. Hospitality is wonderful. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.